Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
Aaron Rodgers wants the GM fired. Sorry, got
He
distracted.
does.
Uh, we're glad you're here. Like this video. Subscribe to our channel.
Podcast below in the description. Need you to subscribe to that as well.
And wineaccess.com/am. 20% off.
WineAccess.com. 20% off.
So Aaron Rodgers wants Brian Gutekunst fired, which is a story. And what was the other? What just happened? What did Rap Sheet just say on TV?
The Denver Broncos are one of his preferred destinations. I technically we already knew that, right? Was reported on Thursday that the Raiders, if the Niners weren't possible, the Raiders and Broncos were two other teams out west.
So let's start with the Gutekunst part. Does he say that because he's starting to realize that they might not trade him? That like he's going to have to, this is going to have to go on for several months. He's going to have to not show up. And he goes, well, it might be easier for me to get the GM fired than for me to actually get the guy that's there to trade me to Denver or Vegas.
I think he says that. Yeah. I think he just, you don't forget when they drafted the quarterback, even though once upon a time he was the same quarterback. It basically parallels each other perfectly. He's just better than Favre was at the same moment, but same situation. Love was 27. He was picked 24. Both pretty big projects. I got a text the other day from someone who's like, did Aaron Rodgers, how did he improve his arm strength? I'm like, I just think they went to work on the holding the ball up top. Like, he just reworked it.
But there was something natural in there.
Yeah. So I sometimes you don't know. Now, Jordan Love already had a really good arm, but I think my personal opinion, he's trying to get out ahead of this. He believes, and whether it's true or not, like his truth, they want to move on from him. Not right now, but like in the hope was after last season. Now, once he plays great, maybe after this season, but they drafted Jordan Love to Wally Pip, kick him out, to replace him, however you want to describe it. And he views that was the GM's decision. Because in fairness, the Packers have always been and will continue to be a general manager run operation when it comes to picking players, right? It's not, if this is happening another franchise, you'd be like, why are you picking on that guy? It was the coach. But this one, he knows. LaFleur can tell him whatever he wants. He lived it with Ted Thompson and Mike McCarthy. The GM picks the players.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also they didn't tell him. I should say Charles Robinson is the one who wrote specifically on Saturday that he wants him fired. He didn't tell him. And Rodgers, like you said, Rodgers' belief is that they wanted to move on from him last year. Remember what happened? It's easy to not.
Do you believe that? Because I kind of do. I mean, I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, think about it. 2019, what was the story after 2019? Aaron
he didn't look good. He hadn't really played well in 2 years, Guy.
So,
because remember, McCarthy got fired the year before, mid-season, and Rodgers was not playing well. He had two bad years.
And part of it might have been, so Rodgers was not good, and was part of it, was he not really embracing the offense? Like, was he being difficult?
2 bad years for his standards. His statistics were still good. But I think the eye test, if you had watched Aaron Rodgers, and that's where I think Gutekunst is unique, he wasn't an outside GM. He had lived it. He was on the staff. So you had a front row seat, right? I think Aaron thinks that he shorted his career.
Yeah.
Because he did.
And again, it's been done to literally every quarterback in the history of the sport.
Tom has been the first guy to outlive it.
He outlived it, but it's not because they didn't try.
Yeah.
The Bucs just drafted Kyle Trask.
Peyton got cut for luck.
So everyone tries.
I think his issue was more, I'm 36, 37 years old. He views himself like there's no way he viewed himself trending in the wrong direction. He just played bad, like I'm still fine. And then he proved it. Now, the one thing that will be hard, you'll never be able to quantify it and you'll never know. Did the drafting of Jordan Love motivate Aaron and get him back to greatness? I don't think that's really disputable. It had to help, right? So the move by drafting Jordan Love brought back the greatness of Aaron Rodgers. The problem is it doesn't just like now he's back on track. No worries. Like it's created a problem now. Like he's back on track, but the problem exists because he goes, well, the reason I was pissed off is because of what you did, regardless of how you got me back here. Screw you. And then Charles Robinson also said, like, the only thing they're willing to do right now is basically guarantee 2021. So he goes, okay, you didn't get rid of me after 2020, but like I've been saying, it's all inevitable that I'm going to be gone. You'll just get rid of me after this year. I think he's trying to dictate his circumstances when he thinks these guys are going to trade him eventually, which
again,
I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And if this was all their plan to move on from him, then they shouldn't. Then you would think it wouldn't be that hard for them to arrive at the place where they do trade him anyway. It's just really hard to trade the MVP. As you said the other day, MVP's never – the only way an MVP hasn't ended up on the team he won the MVP with is if he retires and hosts Jeopardy. But I do think doesn't the heart of this have to be personal? Like, when I say personal, I don't mean that he took the Jordan Love pick personal. I mean, they, A, did not think highly enough of him or were not thinking of him in the way that he wanted them to think of him because they didn't call him. They didn't tell him ahead of time on Jordan Love. And obviously they do not have the personal relationship to have overcome this transgression since. So I think they probably find him very difficult. I think it's pretty easy to see. I'd be shocked. What would shock you more? That they fire Brian Gutekunst or that they trade Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think they're going to trade or fire Brian Gutekunst.
I don't either. That would shock me more.
Let's take a step back. You said like their plans. I think like all plans in football and in pro sports, nothing is concrete. They're always fluid. And Rodgers is like, fuck you. I'm not just going to be part of your fluid plans. Like, I'm good now. You're cool with me. Then I get bad. And you short me again. Like, that's most of these star players. That's how every player in the league operates beside like 3 or 4 a team. And he's one of those 3 or 4 a team that's been used to, like, I never even had to worry about my status. I just watch other guys clean out their locker and come and go. Right. Now I start envisioning I'm just kind of one of them. I have much more money, but eventually, like, you trade me and I go fill up my garbage bag? Like, that's me. And I do think it's easier for the average player. Hell, even like a Richard Sherman now, who's been cut, who's moved teams. You just kind of come grips with the business. Has Rodgers, it's a first, it's one of those, they say it, can never relate, like the first class problems, right? The things that the super rich people complain about. He's complaining about something that 99% of the league's like, yeah, Aaron, this is the NFL. Right. But in fairness to him, he's not used to it. No. I think Brady toward the end, Brady started to feel it. Right. Really, I think Brady started to see it like this is real with Jimmy. Right. For the first time. And it makes them uncomfortable. Like Peyton just got injured and it happened. He got cut. It happened fast. Like he was already rehabbing. He wasn't kind of living in the day to day where Rodgers goes, Gutekunst, you and LaFleur, like I'm making you guys look good. Like on your resume, I'm doing that. And he's not wrong. And your plan, I'm just part of your fluid plans,
He also has to, we talked about it with Russell, one of the things with Russ was that he saw how things have played out in Tampa where they do whatever Tom wants. I would imagine Rodgers is seeing Tom leave and kind of shove it in the Patriots' faces and go, give me one of those. I want some of that.
I think if you rank the teams, even when Tom was on New England, Russ in Seattle and Aaron in Green Bay, those two teams dramatically did more wheeling and dealing than Green Bay does historically, right? Over the last decade.
Yeah.
Russ is like first class problems. Like Russell, your team does everything possible. It doesn't work always. Same New England, Bill was always doing stuff. I think Green Bay has a gripe. You know how I'd fix a guy? I've said this a couple times to a couple different people. Now, I'm not saying this is a little bit of a swing for a fence, but like, I'd trade for Julio Jones. Like, see, Aaron, next year's 2 or something. Like that. That is the type move that Pete Carroll would do. That if Tampa needed to do it for Tom, they would do. Like, I don't envision Green Bay doing it, but that's the type move. Like, hey, Aaron, just take a deep breath. I think that would simmer the situation a little bit.
Yeah,
you agree?
You have to be. It's going to take them. Well, there's 2 things here. One, I think he's realizing he's in a desperate situation. It's why, and not in
Gutekunst or Rodgers?
Rodgers is not in control. Rodgers is not in control. It's why I think all the rumors came out about the Niners stuff on draft day. This was his last chance to move to the Niners before they drafted their future quarterback.
He said those words over and over, right? It's out of my control. Like that's one of his talking.
But right, exactly. So ultimately, it's going to be on him to not show up, and we'll see. I mean, we almost had now Deshaun's situation is very different, but we almost had that situation with Deshaun. So it's really out of his control, and I think this stuff's kind of erratic, and I think it's because it's out of his control. It's going to take the Packers, to your Julio point, quote unquote, being the bigger man, right, and kind of swallowing some of their pride and going, what's it going to take? What do we want here? Do we want to trade Aaron, or do we want Aaron to be our quarterback? And if you want Aaron to be your quarterback, you're going to have to do something that feels uncomfortable to you, because it's very, you're right, on Packers like their response is like, we think Aaron might be gone after this year. You want us to trade next year's pick? Like, well, yeah. I mean, this guy was the MVP. You trying to win because if you're not trying to go all in to win this year with Aaron, then just trade him.
Yeah. LeBron would make them go get Julio.
That's right. And their situation is LeBron's not the GM.
But if they
Aaron's
did get
not
Julio,
the GM.
like that is something that Aaron, like, where's he going to get a better situation?
Well, it'd be like, Aaron,
Julio,
look,
Aaron Jones.
You might hate us, but maybe you can win the MVP in a Super Bowl again.
Yeah.
And then you can go be on the Niners next year.
Julio, I want Aaron to stay on Green Bay and them to get Julio. That'd be fun.
That's a great idea.